Greetings and salutations, everybody. My name is MJ Player, and welcome to my next commentary. I don't know why I gotta keep saying my next commentary. I should just say I'm doing a gameplay commentary, and this time I'm playing a very stylized game called Super Crate Box. And right now I am a dual-wielding pistol alligator. Oh my god, the world is gonna end, and now I have a grenade launcher. That's even worse. This game is very stylized, even though it's not the best looking game in the world. And that's what I want to talk about today. You know, stylized games versus fidelity, graphical fidelity games that look absolutely gorgeous, but require a beefy computer. And really, what's best? What is best for gaming? Which direction should we go for? Now, in the past, 8-bit gaming was all we really had, you know, 8-bit, 16-bit, 32-bit, 64-bit. We really didn't have much in terms of variety. So we had to deal with what we had at the time, and, you know, every game that came out was supposedly better looking. Really, that was at the time when you could look at a game and say, wow, those graphics look amazing, and nowadays it's just like, it kind of looks the same. Graphics are really beginning to meet the end of upgrading. You know, the most realistic graphics right now are Crysis on the PC, and even still, the very first Crysis that came out in 2007 looks better than most games do nowadays, which is beginning to say, hey, we are right now at the peak of the graphical fidelity level. While and there goes my messenger off once again. While we get stylized games like this that you can't copy, that doesn't really get any better, any worse. It's always the same with this single game, and the style is always fresh to see. Ow, I killed myself. The style is always pleasant. Now, you can say, oh, this 8-bit game is also another 8-bit game, and it looks the exact same, blah, 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 blah. Well, it's the same ordeal with realistic-looking games that focus primarily on fidelity, but with 8-bit games, you can still change the style completely. Like, this 8-bit game is totally going to look different from another 8-bit game, while a realistic game, which is usually a first-person shooter, is not going to look different from the old gray and sloppy and realistic super gritty shooter. You know, if you're going to have a 8-bit styled shooter that has another 8-bit style shooter, these 8-bit style shooters are totally going to be different. They will always be different, even though they're 8-bit. You know what I mean? And that's why stylized games are, in my opinion, better than realistic games. And we've actually seen stylized games that have really amazing graphics that are never going to die. Primarily because those stylized games are, well, they're just graphically superior than their realistic cousins. For instance, Team Fortress 2. Yes, that game is not realistic in any sense of the word. It's got no realism to its graphics whatsoever. Even its gore is a bit undoing. Its physics is really out of control. But that's the point of it. That's its style. I got trapped there. That's the style of Team Fortress 2, and that's what makes it so good. That's why it still looks as good as it did back in 2007, because it doesn't focus on realistic textures. It focuses on basically what makes it, you know, what makes it Team Fortress 2, and that's the cartoony style of it. And that's what makes Team Fortress 2 still look as good. I'm repeating record. Sorry, I enjoy talking, I enjoy doing these commentaries, but I am horrible at them at times. Moving on. That's why certain games like World of Warcraft. Yeah, I'm gonna go to there. I'm gonna go say World of Warcraft versus games like Ion. You know, Ion was beautiful when it came out, but now Ion is ugly. You know, the textures look outdated, the skin textures look outdated, the bloom looks outdated, the water looks outdated, the animations look outdated. But then you look at something like World of Warcraft, and the graphics still look beautiful. The scenery still look great. Everything about World of Warcraft is still a beautiful game, despite it being, good lord, what is it, 10 years old now? Yeah, it's 10 years old. Or it will be when it hits November. It is a 10-year-old game that's going on its, what, 4th, 5th expansion? I don't remember. It's like its bazillionth expansion. Ow. But seriously, that game still looks great, even today, due to its cartoony look. It didn't focus on realism, and that's something that most game developers gotta understand. If you have a game that's a multiplayer game and you want it to survive, you want it to always look good, the best way, and that's not always easy, by the way, to create something with style like this, because you gotta do something new, you gotta have a new color palette, you gotta have a new design, you gotta design everything from scratch. That may not be easy to do at the beginning, because doing something realistic is actually a lot easier. Now, granted, doing all the detail work may not be as easy as doing detail work for something that's stylized, because you can get kind of lazy on it and get away with it for detail-wise. But something with realism, you have to do a lot of detail. But with stylized, you gotta make sure that it looks good, that it functions well, and you're not just doing cheap textures to get away with it, because you can still make it look pretty and very, very beautiful without having it needing to be ultra-realistic, like Crysis is. And another thing with stylized games is they usually run better on computers versus realistic games. Team Fortress 2, which is intensely, graphical, for it being as cartoony as it is, with all the stuff that goes on, it runs as smooth as butter. It runs as smooth as the butter in Minecraft is smooth. And with all that said and done, that's a really good reason why I believe stylized games are just better than realistic games. They last longer. They will perform better most of the time. They look very good. They can be put in almost any situation, and they can be very unique with their visuals in any sort of way. And really, honestly, they just can appeal to everyone. You can make them, be attractive towards the kids, towards the teens, towards the adults. I think that's why Mario works so well for everyone, because Mario doesn't focus on realism. It's a very cartoony style game. It doesn't focus on the realism. I mean, could you imagine a realistic, Mario? It's kind of why Pokemon has its own style and why it's never going to be seen in a realistic formation. Good lord, could you imagine how ugly that would be, or how terrifying kids would be? They see a cute little Pikachu and then they see something like realistic. I think they'd be terrified. But anyways, that's just a little rant I wanted to go on about the differences between stylized gaming and realistic, and why I think stylized is better. Now, you all have your own opinions, and some people prefer more graphical, more impressive games. And I do too. I love seeing games like Crysis 3. I played that game, and it is beautiful. I got a graphics card that is capable of handling it on the max settings. Semi-max. There's some stuff I have to turn down because I don't have the processor for it. But it is still an amazingly beautiful video game. And that's great to see every once in a while, but you kind of get bored after seeing the same gray building and same gray, black, and beige car and person, gun, and whatnot. I just like to see something more colorful, if you wouldn't mind. And I know a grenade launcher shoots faster than that. I know for a fact. Get away from there. And with that said and done, I leave you with me going crazy spamming with a revolver. Machine gun magnum. I think the end of the world is here. My arm is getting tired. Okay, I'm done. See you later, guys.